Good evening, everyone. It is a beautiful day here in Denton, Texas this evening with this matchup against UNT and South Dakota State. I'm joined here with Amanda Batchelder. My name's Mercedes Zaragoza, and we're going to be calling tonight's game. What do you think of this matchup, Amanda? Both teams have played already today. This is their second game of the day.
Well, I think this is going to be a pretty intense matchup just by, what I've heard from the previous games today. South Dakota won their first game, which is obviously going to be good for them coming into this, and UNT didn't win their first game. So I think this is going to be interesting.
Yeah, you're completely right. South Dakota State went 3-0 with Grambling State today. UNT suffering a 5-set loss against McNeese. They really fought their tooth and nail. I think these two teams are one of the better in this round robin here this weekend. We have 4 teams total. UNT trying to come back after an upset this past morning.
Yeah, I completely agree. On paper, UNT is definitely the strongest team in this round robin tournament. So watching them lose to McNeese State this morning was a bit of a shock, if I do say so myself.
And it's going to be South Dakota State coming back with the ball and taking the first point. Libero number 5, Tatum Picard. And Truly Levy out of the middle for UNT puts it down, her first kill of the night tonight. Tying it all up at an early 1-1 in set 1. With Ana Ibarra back at the line. She's back in the Libero jersey. She was in that position this morning. Did very well.
What do you think about these jerseys that the Mean Green are wearing?
I think they're great. I love the white. I think it's very stylish. I think it's very clean. There goes number 8, Jaden Makovica, going back to the line to serve for South Dakota State.
A community and public health major.
Picked up by Smith. Scopel to Levy in the outside. Off the net. Picked up by Smith. Scopel with a quick set to Hausler is picked up. And that's going to be number 13, Carly Weedle, the setter, to put it down with a dump. Pulling forward 3-1 early on in this first set. Makovica still serving. Serve is picked up by Smith. Scopel out to Robinson on the offside. It's going to go off the block, won't clear the plane. Actually, looks like they found someone in the net there, giving Rhett Robinson the ball to serve. Service picked up out to that outside. And ref is saying no, ball was down. And that's outside number 9, Crystal Burke, the senior, as she goes back to the line to serve. Service picked up by Robinson and shanked, giving the senior an ace to add to her stat sheet early on in her senior season.
Super early, but clearly not the start that the Mean Green would like here.
But that is the start that Sarah Hausler wanted, getting the best of the senior over there on the South Dakota side. In kills in this early on season, I guess I should say, in that last game, Burke is leading her team with 10 kills.
She led last season as well for kills and kills per set.
That's Aaliyah Galdera serving for UNT. It's picked up with a roll shot, back over by Kenzie Smith. Dump is picked up by Robinson. Smith is off the net. Picked up by libero number 5, Tatum Picard. Free balled over to UNT. Scopel out to Smith in the outside. Gets the best of Picard. And will put that down with that cross shot. She almost had a totally free net on that one, Amanda. Galdera serving for UNT. outside, number 14, Chloe Stitt, to get the point for her team as number 4, Ella Thompson, goes back to serve. Thompson leading her team in blocks with 2. Service picked up by Galdera. Scopel to Hausler in the middle. Sarah Hausler and Kaylee Scopel almost completely unstoppable when it comes to that connection.
You can see it. It definitely looks very powerful out there right now.
Yes, ma'am. Hausler will serve for UNT, and it's an ace. Looks like South Dakota State was trying to hide number 8, Jaden Makovica, back there in serve receive, and Hausler still found her to get her ace, and she's still going to pick on her. It's going to go off of the foot, off of that receiving team of South Dakota State, and Sarah Hausler 2 in a row.
Look, I mean, if you find a weak spot, you pick on it. Why would you not?
For sure. And Alicia Johnson with the overpass kill. South Dakota State really needing to put a stop to the bleeding here. UNT pulls forward and is up by 2, 8-6. Service picked up out to 14. It's going to fall. Chloe Stitt hits that perfect little hole there in the middle of the court, trying to get UNT off balance early on in this set. She caught them on their heels, and if she keeps on feeding that spot, more power to her. Number 13, Carly Weedle to serve. Picked up by Galdera. Scopel to back row, Robinson. Robinson finds that back line, being very successful today in that back row attack. Rhett Robinson is just one of those players you could put her anywhere and she's going to make a kill.
I can't say that they should be surprised that Rhett Robinson did something like that, seeing as she hit her 1,000th career kill this morning.
And a great attempt by Robinson to bring it back in is no good. They're going to count it out. Yeah, she did in set 2 against McNeese State. She, later on in set 2, got that 1,000 kill and was named preseason all-conference, was chosen one of the 12 girls in all-conference.
So South Dakota State has to have been looking at what she does and how she plays, considering she is such an asset to this Mean Green squad.
And I think you should consider that all teams in this conference is going to have their eyes on Rhett Robinson this season, for sure. Number 14, Chloe Stitt to serve, is picked up by Ibarra. Scopel out to Robinson in the outside, and line judge counts it in. But head coach Dan Georgalis is going to beg the ref to call it out. Smith back to serve for UNT is picked up and in the rafters. You know, Amanda, I like to talk about this, but UNT has a major advantage here in the environment that they practice and they play in. They practice on the same court that they play on, and these low ceilings are a great blessing and a curse. It teaches you how to keep those passes low, and as a setter, you really appreciate that because it runs a fast offense. But other teams aren't used to those low rafters, and it becomes a huge advantage on UNT side.
Exactly. We talked about this last season. A lot of these other schools, they play basketball and volleyball in the same arena, which are those big, like we have here at UNT, the Super Pit, where it's just crazy high ceilings, so they don't have to worry about something like this.
Yes. And it's going to be Truly Levy out of the middle to put it down for UNT. Ibarra going back to serve. Score now 12-10. Still anyone's game here, but UNT hoping to pull forward. Offense of South Dakota State trying to trip up the block. Off the platform, they're still going to play it. Ball is in play, and ref has not called it.
That is very impressive to see how much it ricocheted off of the rafters here and that they were still able to play it.
I think it's anybody's game. I don't think they're stopping gameplay for in the rafters or anything. I think they're just going to let these girls play it out. But that was Robinson trying to keep the ball in, and it flies out, giving number 8, Jaden Makovica, another chance to serve for her team. Ibarra with the assist here on Levy. Levy hitting right into that block. That was UNT's, a lot of their problems this morning was covering their hitters, and their hitters covering themselves. Once you hit that ball, you can't just give up on it because you could be hitting into a block and it's going to come back at you.
Right.
Makovica still serving for South Dakota State. Little bit of confusion there on UNT. They have to send it over in a free ball. They're going to use that off hitter in Ella Thompson and call UNT in the net. Makovica still serving for South Dakota State.
Clearly my comment about UNT being the strongest team on paper has not stood the test of this short time we've been here today.
And it'll be Hausler with a great setting save out of Kaylee Scopel. Kaylee Scopel is an amazing setter, but she is a senior this year, so Andrew Paleo are putting girls like Katie Butler in the mix there. A younger setter, something to look more into the future on. And the block by Hausler and Scopel is going to fall out.
It's nice to be able to try stuff like that here in these pre-conference, I guess is what this would be. These tournaments that don't, hurt conference records should they go the wrong way.
Yes, ma'am. And Hausler uses the block of Chloe Stitt to put it down. You got number 1, Aaliyah Galdera, going in for Levy.
I don't know if you can hear on our broadcast, but there are fans. There's a lot of fans.
It's great to hear them again. It's great to have fans in the gym again for sure. Number 8, Jaden Makovica. I'm sorry, that is number 9, Crystal Burke, coming out of that back row flying. Getting a point for her team and giving Ella Thompson a chance to go back and serve. Picked up by Ibarra. It's tight on the net for Scopel. Smith on the outside. It's going to be UNT's ball. It went off the hands of the South Dakota State block to hit that pin. Hausler back to serve. Hausler's serve flies out on the South Dakota State side. We have number 18, Elise Winter, in for number 8, Jaden Makovica on the front row. Number 13, Carly Weedle to serve. Picked up by Galdera. Scopel out to Smith on the outside. And it falls right in front of libero number 5, Tatum Picard. Scopel back to serve for UNT. Service picked up by Picard. Back to 14, hitting that hole. UNT able to send the free ball back over. Tip picked up by Robinson. Scopel out to Smith on the outside, off the hands of Elise Winter. It's going to fall, giving UNT the ball, and Scopel back in her home position here in right back. Service picked up out to the outside and off the hands of Robinson. Excuse me. I have to admit, Amanda, I'm a little bit confused about that one as well. From what I saw, is that number 15, Sydney Andrews, on the outside, used Rhett Robinson's block to kind of push it out to get that point, and it is going to be South Dakota State's ball. Number 14, Chloe Stitt, back to serve. Picked up by Galdera. Scopel out to Robinson on the outside. Back row, Chloe Stitz, picked up by Scopel, out to Robinson. And that's going to be Ibarra on the assist for Robinson. It makes a huge difference to have a libero that is comfortable to take that second ball when setter takes that first ball, and that's what you have out of Anna Ibarra there. Kenzie Smith back to set, or back to serve for UNT. Picked up by Picard. And Andrews is unable to get a hand on it, giving the ball back to UNT.
In a situation like that, does that look more like a lack of communication or just a miscommunication or just an overset ball?
You know, I think it's a lack of communication between setter and hitter, because usually it's up to the hitter to say, this is what I want, you know, and usually that's a game time decision as you're going to approach, right? You're like 2-2-2 or 1-1-1, you know, and so it just depends on what they plan on before and what happens in the game. Things can get misconstrued and stuff.
It looked like she was about to go up for the hit, and then just the ball went past her, and there was no one really there to help it over.
Yeah, she thought that it was going to be higher than what it was, and that's just communication between setter and hitter. You know, and that's what we have, a great communication between Scopel and basically all her hitters. You know, that connection between Scopel and Hausler is absolutely lethal, and it hits almost every single time. You know, but I think out of South Dakota State to battle back here, point 17 is a very crucial part of this game.
Right.
And if they want to turn the tide of it here and stop UNT's momentum, they're going to have to clean up serve-receive. I say they get one good pass, they get a hit down, they're able to get that ball back and go on a run. Both teams making their way back to the court now. Smith still back there to serve for UNT. Service picked up, out to Burke in the outside. Scopel out to Robinson on her offside. Out to Burke once again, gets the best of Anna Ibarra. One more step and she's there, but a very powerful hit out of Crystal Burke. Number 5, Tatum Picard libero back to serve for South Dakota State. Picked up by Ibarra. Beautiful pass to Scopel. And Robinson hitting that outside line just to the left side shoulder of Picard. You know, that was the problem with Ibarra this morning, too. She was getting beat on that outside left shoulder on the line. If anything, you want to get beat inside because that's where people are. So you want to be on that outside line and make your way in. I don't want to get beat on that line. I want to get beat in that middle.
Right. Because it's easier to go forward than it is to try to step out or step back, or at that point you're going to take one off the shoulder or off the chest, and clearly you don't want to do something like that.
Number 8, Makovica back to serve for South Dakota State. Picked up but off the net by Smith. It's going to be an assist by Levy. Out to Burke on the outside. Off the hands of Hausler. It falls on UNT side. It's all tied up 20-20 here, with Makovica going back to serve once again.
We've seen it twice now, but Burke has a crazy amount of power.
Picked up by Smith, but off the net. The assist by Ibarra. It's Levy. Out to number 4, Thompson. Scopel out to Robinson. Off the hands of Thompson and Burke. It's going to be Robinson's kill in her stat book. Bortnam in for Robinson to serve. And Casey Bortnam gets the ace for her team. The senior Corinth native, just right down the street there. UNT was a natural choice for her. She's right there, really, really close to home.
Close to home, competitive program. Why wouldn't you want to play here?
You know, Amanda, I say it a lot. The DFW area in general is just a hub. A lot of teams that come to Denton, we see them, you know, recruiting from Texas, and not just Texas alone, but the DFW area. They go to McKinney, they go to Prosper, they go to Frisco, they go to all these really, really hot commodity schools.
Right.
And actually, UNT just picked up a new outside hitter from Reedy High School. I believe it is, that's Addison Corley, the 6-foot freshman outside hitter from Reedy High School. She was a 4-year Letterman, 2-year all-district team. Really, really great recruit for UNT. I'm hoping to see her in this tournament. I'm hoping to see all these new, young, fresh faces for UNT come out and, kind of see how they work with these older veterans on the court.
Frisco Reedy High School seems to also be a very, powerhouse type of athletic program because UNT also has a softball player from Frisco Reedy High School in Maya Ward.
And it's Bortnam serve, about to serve for UNT. Picked up out to Burke on the outside. A deep tip flies out. Kenzie Smith doing a great job following it to that line just to make sure, giving UNT the advantage 23-20 here in this first set. Picked up by Picard, out to Burke. Off the hands of the block, it's Kenzie Smith, Kaylee Scopel, and Truly Levy. Down ball is picked up by Ibarra. Out to Smith on the back row attack. Flies out, but they're going to call a touch on the single block. It is game point here as Casey Bortnam goes back to line of serve, take this first set away from South Dakota State. Burke picks up. Thompson puts it down with the hitch. That's a great move on both sides here. In my opinion, I think the block is a little bit slow on both sides. So the hitch is open for Sarah Hausler and Ella Thompson. She just ran that beautifully. And it's going to be Burke coming out and number 10, Jefferson, in to serve for South Dakota State here as UNT still has game point. Brett Robinson back in for UNT. It's picked up by Smith, off the net for Scopel, to Robinson behind the line. And it's going to be Hausler and Scopel's block that flies out. And Kaylee Scopel is the one that sets that block to the pin. So this is what I think happened there. I think that Sarah Hausler and Kaylee Scopel both went up, but since Kaylee Scopel is the shorter of the blockers and she sets the pin, she needs to make more of an effort to turn those hands back into the court so that Sarah Hausler can finish that block. It is 24-22 here, UNT's game point as they hope to take set 1 away from South Dakota State. Like we said, South Dakota State playing Grambling State earlier today, taking a full sweep away from them, 3-0, and UNT losing against McNeese State in 5 sets.
So what I've noticed thus far in this first set is that the points that the Mean Green and South Dakota State, for that matter, are scoring, they're points that are fully earned as opposed to those that are made off of errors from the other side.
And that's a lot of just communication errors I saw out of UNT this morning. You know, they missed serves, they let balls drop, and that wasn't the team that we had seen last season. And definitely these two teams are not letting anything drop tonight. I'm excited. They seem to be going for everything. Both teams want this. They want this good, fresh start to go into their conferences.
And it makes sense for South Dakota State. Last year they went 6-11 during their season, so clearly not a winning record, not the finish you would want, especially for their head coach.
And it's going to be UNT set on a missed serve from Akila Jefferson. UNT taking first set 25-22. We'll be back in just a few moments with set 2. Stay with us. And welcome back once again, guys. I am Mercedes Zaragoza. I'll be calling your game tonight. I'm with Amanda Batchelder here. Amanda, what did you think of that first set? We're coming out, getting ready to start this second one. UNT taking it away from South Dakota State.
I thought it was really well played. I was honestly pleasantly surprised, if I do say so myself. I really thought it might have been a blowout situation like we saw in the game against McNeese. That first set, that was a 25-11.
No, we're seeing the UNT team that we saw in that first set, but they ended up losing the whole game against McNeese State in 5 sets, while South Dakota totally swept Grambling State. So they're coming out of a win, and UNT trying to get that redemption from this morning. Starting off to serve for South Dakota State, we have number 13, Carly Weedle. Picked up by Galdera. Scopel out to Robinson. In the outside is picked up by Burke. And Chloe Stitt will be the one to put it down for South Dakota State. Service by Galdera. Scopel out to Johnson. And Johnson runs the hitch just right there in Scopel's back pocket to put it down on the line, on the back line. Smith back to serve for UNT. It's picked up. Out to Andrews in the middle. Great save by Smith, gives Levy the chance to swing. Burke out of the back row is picked up by Scopel. Smith on the run. Ibarra free balling it back over. And it'll be the block by Alicia Johnson and Rhett Robinson to put it down for UNT, and Kenzie Smith heading back to line to serve.
Can I be honest for a moment? I really think that ball that Kenzie Smith saved might have hit the ground first.
And it's going to fly out on UNT's side, giving the ball back to Smith. Picked up by Picard. Out to Chloe Stitt, picked up just barely by Smith. And Andrews out of the middle, off the platform of Scopel. Ibarra free balling it over. Out to Stitt in the outside once again, finding that crease there in between the block between Robinson and Alicia Johnson to utilize that in her advantage and get her team the point. Number 14, Chloe Stitt, the outside hitter, grad student, back to serve for South Dakota State. Picked up by Ibarra, it's tight on the net for Scopel, and Alicia Johnson does not care. She puts it down almost 10-foot line. That girl can jump out of the gym. Anna Ibarra back to serve for UNT. And out to Burke on the outside, trying to use that block, but Hausler puts it down. Ibarra back to serve, score now 5-2. UNT leading 1-0 and leading in points here early on in this second set. Ball is on the net for Andrews, and it's going to be Hausler and Levy to put her down. UNT's block just showing South Dakota State that you are not going to get anything past us. Out to Burke on the outside. Off the hands, Levy to Scopel to Smith out of the back row. Gets the best of libero number 5, Tatum Picard. Ibarra still serving for UNT, going on a run. Picked up and off the net. And number 18, Elise Winter, hits it out. UNT's ball, Andrews out, and number 4, Ella Thompson in to play front row for South Dakota State. And Picard back to the line to serve. Picard serve, no good, giving UNT back the ball. Score now 8-3, UNT leading by 5 early on in this second set. Bortnam in to serve.
That first set clearly put UNT in a good mood.
And off of Bortnum's Platinum, Smith saves it. Smith on the run constantly. Is not going to let a ball drop. Great up by Ibarra. Picard out to Burke. She's off the net. Roll shot picked up by Bortnum. Scopel, quick set to Hausler is picked up. Out to Burt on the outside once again. Picked up by Ibarra. Scopel on the run. Levy out. Big tip. What a great rally by both teams here. You can just tell, like we said, Amanda, neither team is going to let a ball fall here tonight. Number 8, Makovica back in to serve for South Dakota State. Picked up by Ibarra. Scopel to Hausler on the hitch. Smith with the assist to Levy. Tight on the net is picked up by Bortnum. Overpass by Burke. Great pass by Smith. Out to Levy on the outside. Ibarra with the assist. Burke tips it over. Bortnum is out of system. Scopel to Smith in the back row. And it flies out on South Dakota's side. Giving number 8, Makovica, a chance to serve for her team once again.
This feels like some top-tier D1 volleyball right here.
And it's going to be off the net with Kaylee Scopel finding her back to the net. She was waiting for that pass. Picked up by Ibarra. Scopel to outside Levy. Tip is picked up and Hausler putting it back down. Galdera in for Levy to play back row. You just got to know, Amanda, that if you overpass that ball and Sarah Hausler is right there, you are about to get it back in your face. Out to Burke on the outside. Great block by Hausler and Scopel.
Seems like right there they fixed what we were talking about earlier.
Galdera to serve for UNT. It's picked up out to Burke on the outside. Tip over the net by Scopel. Out to Burke once again off the hands of Scopel. It's going to fly out. And number 9, Crystal Burke going back to serve for South Dakota State. Score now 10-7, UNT still leading. And serve drops right there in front of Galdera. That was a tough one. We saw that one kind of glide across the net and just drop. Great serve by Crystal Burke. Picked up by Galdera. It's off the net for Scopel. She pushes to Smith. And Ella Thompson will put it down for South Dakota State, giving Crystal Burke another chance to serve. And it's off of Bortnum's platform. Hausler's shoe. Off the net for Smith. She tips, picked up by Burke. Out to Chloe Stitt, picked up by Scopel. Bortnum with the assist to Smith. Can't quite get there. It's going to be South Dakota State's ball. You know, that's where it becomes really important to talk, because if Kenzie Smith was just like, hey, I'm right here, don't set me all the way out there, she could have been there. Picked up by Ibarra. Scopel to Hausler. Single block out of Ella Thompson. Stops it. Picard to Burke on the back row. Picked up by Ibarra. It's tight on the net for Scopel. Ella Thompson out of the middle gets the tip. We have a collision between Ibarra and Smith, but it falls, giving South Dakota the ball. And Crystal Burke another chance to serve.
South Dakota State takes their first lead of the game, or this set in particular.
And Coach Palaleo has been very about letting the girls figure it out themselves, giving them that chance for these veterans on the court to be like, hey, let's get it together and not having to waste a timeout. Hausler back to serve, all tied up, 11-11 here in this second set.
I feel like if you were to play your freshmen, this would be the time to let them have some on-court time.
No, and you're absolutely right, and that's what he's been doing. That's what both teams have been doing. They're just trying to figure out what works, what doesn't work, what they need to work on, who has the chemistry, because sometimes that chemistry is just natural, and you're never going to know unless you put them in game time situations. So I think it's smart for both coaches to kind of utilize everyone on their roster right now, because you never know what you're going to get.
Well, it seems to surprise me right now that Paleo is going with more upperclassmen than newcomers, which clearly he knows what he's doing. He's been here for a while. However, I just feel like in this situation it's more of a low stress, not conference, not a whole lot on the line right now.
Yeah. Kenzie Smith swinging away and finding that back corner, giving Skopel another chance to serve. It is 13-12, UNT pulling forward here in the second set after taking the first set. Service picked up, and the outside Chloe Stitt will take it. Kenzie Smith with the dig to Rhett Robinson. Out to Stitt again. Deep tip is picked up by Galdera. Skopel to Robinson on the offside. She swings away, and it is out. Giving the ball back to South Dakota State. Number 13, Carly Weedle, the setter, the 6'1" setter, junior. Picked up by Galdera. Skopel out to Robinson on the outside. Picard unable to pick it up. She's going to give it to Rhett Robinson. Kenzie Smith back to the line to serve for UNT. Service picked up by Picard. Out to Elise Winter, going right past Rhett Robinson. A little miscommunication there between her and libero Ibarra. Number 14, the outside hitter, grad student Chloe Stitt to serve for South Dakota State. It's picked up by Smith. Skopel back to Levy in the middle to Johnson. Skopel takes first ball. Ibarra with the assist to Robinson. It's picked up out to Burke on the outside. Virtually no block there put up by UNT. That's why that ball fell right there in the middle. That should never happen. The block should take away that whole section. Number 14, Chloe Stitt to serve. It's picked up by Kenzie Smith. Skopel to Robinson. On the net is picked up a beautiful pass by Chloe Stitt. Skopel to Johnson in the middle, gets the best of libero Picard.
So in your opinion, how much of this comes down to head coach matchup?
I believe in seasoning. I believe in being there before. I believe in veterans, and I think that if you put veterans on a court against a team that's all just freshmen, really, really good freshmen, maybe even better than those veterans, I think they're still going to pull through because there's something about, okay, I've been here before. I know what this is about. And Andrew Paleo has known this program this is his 9th season. So almost 10 years with this program. He came from Ohio State before then. He was an assistant coach over there. So he's done college volleyball for a while, and whereas this younger coach, not as seasoned as him, I think that comes into play a lot. Looks like we have a challenge going on right here.
Sounds like a parking issue outside.
Several former Main Green volleyball players, including Miranda Yeomans and Valerie Valera.
fan favorites have returned tonight.
Yeah, a couple of seniors out of Valerie Valerian, All-American, and
Miranda Yeomans.
Miranda Yeomans.
Anyways, before we got stopped by this challenge and car and all sorts of situations, South Dakota State's head coach has been coaching for quite a few years, actually. I think he's just now reaching his 10th year overall, which clearly is quite the difference between the Mean Greens coach and Paoleo, who's approaching his 10th season just with the Mean Green.
Number 5, Tatum Picard back to serve. It's picked up by Kenzie Smith. Scopel out to Levy on the outside. Out to Burke on the outside, off the hands of Hausler. Back to Elise Winter. Burke with the tip is going to get the best of the Hausler and Robinson block. Picked up by Ibarra. Scopel out to Levy on the outside. Picked up by Ibarra. Scopel to Hausler running the hitch. And Ella Thompson gives it a go. Scopel out to Levy on the outside is picked up. Goes at it again to battle at the net. Picked up by Ibarra in the rafters. And it's going to fly out on Kaylee Scopel's hand. Giving the ball back to libero Tatum Picard. And we have a timeout coming out of Andrew Paoleo. Looks like he wants to talk to his setter. Score 18-15. South Dakota State up by 3. UNT up in sets 1-0.
It's crazy. We were talking about how the Mean Green came out of the gate on this one just 8-3 pretty quickly. And here we are seeing the reverse of that.
Yeah, and we saw it a lot in their game this morning against McNeese State as well. You know, they came out guns blazing that first set. They beat them 25-11 that first set. So they came out, they knew what they were doing. They came out with some confidence, and you know, as soon as McNeese started to fight back, they kind of drew back a little bit. So I think that's what's happening here a little bit. Once they get down into like a miscommunication hold, they lose a few points. And I think one thing that they could do to toughen their mental health for this season is just, you know, one and done. Okay, they got that point, we're going to move on to the next one.
Right.
Not, I messed up and I'm going to stay in that.
You need
so they got to get out of their head. Yeah,
right.
It's a very fast-paced game. Every rally is an average of 7 seconds. You don't have time to get stuck in your head. Number 5, libero Picard still serving for South Dakota State. It's tight on the net for Scopel. Robinson out of the back row. Picard with the assist for Burke on the outside. Picked up by Ibarra. Scopel to Hausler out of the middle. No block. Open net. Puts it down. That's some Sarah Hausler business right there. Robinson out and Bortnam in to serve. Picked up by Burke. Back to Winter. Winter putting it down, the outside hitter freshman from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Number 2, Faith Sayert. Serve flies out, giving UNT the ball, and Galdera in for Levy. Picked up by Burke, tight on the net. Ella Thompson out of the middle, puts it down. UNT just standing there. That offense ran way too fast for UNT. And if South Dakota State could keep that up, they might just take this away from them. 20-17 now, leading by 3 is South Dakota State, and Crystal Burke back there to serve. It's picked up And Smith takes a swing at it. It's picked up by Picard. Burke out of the back row is picked up by Ibarra. Smith outside. Great coverage by Ibarra. Scopel dumps it over. Picard with the assist to Chloe Stitt. Picked up by Ibarra. Galdera for the assist for Smith. Deep tip is picked up by Burke. Out to Chloe Stitt. Off the hands of Hausler. And it will fall out off of the blocking hands of Hausler and Scopel. Give Crystal Burke another chance to serve for her team. At 21-17 late here in the second set, UNT leading 1-0. And off the platform of Ibarra, she wasn't balanced. She was leaning back. I don't think they're ready to get this serve yet. I think maybe just take a minute, compose, and then get ready for the serve. They're hiding Rhett Robinson back there to give her a chance to hit that back row attack. Picked up by Galdera. And Burke's serve is just shaking up this UNT receiving team.
We're talking about mental health and how you can't be, punching yourself for small mistakes, but you also can't let mistakes happen twice.
And Burke's serve is picked up this time by Galdera. She's going to set Ella Thompson, and the block is good by Kenzie Smith and Sarah Hausler. Hausler going back to serve, and Alicia Johnson making her way back to the front row. Picked up by Burke to Chloe Stitt. On the net for Scopel, Alicia Johnson helps out. Burke in the back row takes it. Robinson, Scopel to Johnson on the hitch. Flies out. Game point here for South Dakota State after UNT taking the first set. Score 24-18. Number 11, Anna Narad back to serve for South Dakota State. Service picked up by Galdera to Robinson in the back row. Gets the best of Andrew's single block, giving UNT a chance to battle, and Kaylee Scopel goes back to the line to serve. Service picked up, back row, Burke came out flying, and it goes out on UNT side. UNT battling back here, 24-20. South Dakota State just needs one more. Service picked up, but off the net. They're gonna do Chloe Stitt. It's picked up by Scopel. Smith out of the outside. And to Andrews in the middle. UNT says, no, I did not touch it. They're going to call 4 hits. Giving the ball back to Scopel. Score now 21-21. Can UNT battle back here and take this second set? Fight tooth and nail.
I would say that they can.
Well, you can totally tell that this South Dakota State team is just, trying to get this done. A lot is weighing on this last point for them, right? So UNT is trying to take advantage of that. They're nervous. They're back on their heels. So let's take that and really beat them into the ground, get this second set going.
It's hard to say after sitting at this game point for quite a few points actually, and not being able to take advantage of it and solidify the second set.
Yeah, surprisingly, UNT is not playing scared right now. They're playing like, hey, we're going to dig ourselves out of this hole and take this second set. South Dakota is playing scared, and they are in the best position possible right now. All they need is a side out.
I mean, it's better to play with confidence than play scared.
If you play scared, you're going to make a mistake, and volleyball is a game of mistakes. It's whoever makes one first. And Scopel serve barely makes it over. UNT using this free ball for Rhett Robinson off the hands. Scopel to Robinson again off the hands once again. And South Dakota State takes this second set away from UNT 25-21. All tied up here in sets in Mean Green Village. We'll be right back with set 3. Stick with us. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Mercedes Zaragoza, and joined with me here I have Amanda Batchelder. We are bringing you set 3 here of the matchup between the University of North Texas and South Dakota State University here, all tied up in sets. South Dakota State taking the second set away from UNT after they took the first. Early here in this third set, UNT hoping to get some redemption after this morning losing in 5 to McNeese State, and South Dakota State trying to keep their winning streak going after sweeping Grambling State in this round robin 3-0. Like as mentioned before, this is a North Texas Invitational. UNT invited 3 teams here to play a round robin. Each team will play 3 games in 2 days. Scopel back to serve for UNT to start off set 3. It's tight on the net. Free ball over for Ibarra. Scopel to Kenzie Smith, and the outside getting the best of libero Picard to put it down. Scopel serving. Picked up by Scopel. Ibarra to Robinson in the back row. Picard out to Chloe Stitt. Gets the tip. Smith. Scopel on the run. Smith to the outside. Burke picks it up. Out to Stitt again off the hands of Johnson. Smith to help out. And Robinson trying to cut it a little bit too much. It flies out, giving South Dakota State the ball. And number 14, Chloe Stitt, the outside hitter grad student, a chance to go back and serve.
You're going to be seeing a lot more of those grad student titles on these players, especially considering they all got a year back because of COVID when that first hit.
No, and that's what Kaylee Scopel is. Kaylee Scopel is a grad senior, and she's here playing with UNT for another season. Kenzie Smith trying to battle at the net, a little bit too much to the left. It's going to fly out, giving South Dakota State the ball once again, and Chloe Stitt will serve.
I remember seeing on social media just a few weeks ago, Scopel and Ibarra posting about being the grandmas of this Mean Green squad.
And they truly are, and they take pride in that. They like to mentor younger girls, and this UNT team is a very close-knit group of girls.
Which is good. You know there's going to be the chemistry there that there needs to be, and it's nice knowing that they're friends.
And Kenzie Smith on her offside shoots it down to that cross corner. She's going to go back to serve for UNT.
It's nice to know that they're friends and they get along outside of this team setting as well.
Scopel to Johnson is blocked by Andrews. Little miscommunication there between Scopel and Johnson. The ball will fall on UNT's side, giving libero Picard a chance to serve. Service picked up by Smith. Scopel out to Robinson in the outside, and it flies out. This is not the Rhett Robinson that we are used to seeing. And Andrew Palaleo is trying to put a stop to the bleeding. His star is hitting out.
It's not brute force, but it is just a whole lot of power coming out of Robinson.
And you know, when you're swinging and your hits are going out, that's when you need to ring it back and be like, all right, I'm going to play smarter. I'm going to roll shot. I'm going to tip deep. I'm going to find those spots that they're weak. My hits are not going in right now. So the best thing that I could do for my team is utilize my other skills to work harder or work smarter and not harder.
Right. Like I was just about to say, it's a whole concept of play smarter, not harder.
And South Dakota State, it obviously is very happy about Rhett Robinson hitting out. That's taking away a huge weapon that they're worried about coming in on this game on this UNT side. We have about 30 more seconds in this timeout. We'll see if Robinson can come out of the funk that she's in, kind of bring it back.
If Robinson is your star, your big power hitter, the minute she goes down, you're not working with a weak staff, but you're also not working at, full strength.
Yes, for sure.
And she will graduate here soon. I believe she will next year. And then you're going to have to try to fill in that spot with someone who can hit just as hard as her. South Dakota State's going to run into that this year after losing Burke.
And UNT too after losing Scopel and Ibarra, as well as Bortnum. UNT's ball, they're going to give it to Anna Ibarra to go back to serve with Hausler back in on the front row. Service picked up and to the side. It's an overpass for Rhett Robinson. Easy money. She puts it down. That's got to feel good. Probably boost her morale a little bit.
Based off of both teams' performances last year, it looks like they're much sharper this year. And how much do you think is attributed to having full fans in the stands and having vocal support around you?
Oh, it's great in here. I mean, and honestly, when you're playing a game, you zone out, but you feel it. You feel your parents in the stands. You feel your grandparents. And, people, you draw from that. You draw from your friends coming to your games or the band in the stands able to play live the school songs. So I think a lot comes out of it. And Hausler will put it down, getting the best of Chloe Stitt. Ibarra still serving for UNT. UNT going on a run here, 6-5. Service picked up by Burke. And to the middle of Ella Thompson, Ibarra just able to get her hands on it. Not good enough. Giving the ball back to South Dakota State and number 2, Faith Sowert. Picked up by Robinson. Scopel to Levy. Tip is picked up by Picard. Chloe Stitt out of the back row. Scopel out to Robinson in the outside. Out to Burke. It's tight. She's going to tip. Hausler is there. Chloe Stitt out of the back row is picked up. And Hausler running the hitch. What a beautiful play. A beautiful pass out of Kenzie Smith. Obviously, Scopel is going to get her work done with Hausler. They put it down with that hitch. Bortnum back to serve for Levy. Picked up by Burke. And that's number 13, Carly Weedle. The setter attempting to dump. It's no good, giving it back to Casey Bortnum. Service picked up to Ella Thompson out of the middle. It flies out, giving UNT back the ball. Score now 9-6. And it looks like the South Dakota State coach, Dan Gorgalis, is going to call a challenge on that out ball flown out.
Saying that the ball was in or that there was a touch on the ball?
More than likely a touch on the ball because the ball was so far out of that line. They're probably saying that the block touched it.
So, how challenges work in volleyball? Is it just if it looks like it's out or if it looks like it's not what they said it was, that's it?
So, If you notice, there's a little camera there at the net line.
I am aware of the little camera.
Yeah, so usually with replays and stuff, like touches on the block, they go back, the down ref goes back, and with modern technology and that little camera, we're able to see if there was a touch. Before then, it would just be hearsay and what the line judges saw, and the line judges are way back there, so most of the time it wasn't accurate. And there's something that we call in the game, the ball never lies. So whoever gets that next point, usually you think that you were the one that was right.
Right, that's fair. I've wondered about that on multiple occasions in tennis, and I know that they have the overly.
And it seems at that time the rafters were working in the favor, but Ibarra was on the floor. She wasn't expecting that ball to come to her. So Crystal Burke will serve for South Dakota State. It's off the net for Scopel. Out to Robinson on the outside. Picked up on the deep corner by Burke. Chloe Stitt on the outside, picked up by Ibarra. Scopel with a attempted quick set to Sarah Hausler, but it will fly out, giving South Dakota State the ball. And Crystal Burke another chance to serve. Picked up by Ibarra on the net for Scopel. Robinson on the outside. You almost could not see that ball. It was going so fast. That's what happens when Rhett Robinson makes perfect connection. That ball was in front of her. She had the perfect approach. Beautiful execution. On the net for Stitt. Stitt goes line and it flies out, giving UNT the ball and Rhett Robinson the chance to serve. Ball is picked up, but on the net, and Kaylee Scopel battles at the net, the setter, the all-around setter, to get the point for UNT. South Dakota State now calling a timeout. Score now 12-8 early on in this third set. Both teams have a set up on the other. UNT taking the first 25-22. And South Dakota State taking the second 21-25.
Both have been clearly close sets between each squad.
South Dakota State really branching out for their recruitment here. You have some players out of Iowa, some out of Nebraska, some out of Minnesota, and we were just talking about how Texas is such a great camaraderie whenever you want to go and get players. And here is South Dakota State, pulling from the Midwest, like you said, out of Georgia, Iowa, Wisconsin, Nebraska, really just branching out. A lot from Minnesota.
There are two Thompson sisters playing on this South Dakota State team. Not only that, but freshman Jasmine Weedman is also from that same Lakeville, Minnesota area as the Thompson sisters. Granted, Texas versus the size of the Midwest.
About the same size.
Right.
Yes.
So
you made a point there. Scopel out to Smith. Smith puts it down right in front of Faith Sowert. Sarah Hausler back to serve for UNT. And it's picked up by Burke. Out to Stitt. Off the hands, maybe the head of Alicia Johnson. Giving the ball back to South Dakota State. It's going to be number 13, Carly Weedle, the the setter out of Wilmar, Minnesota.
The one thing that's interesting to me about this South Dakota State team versus this North Texas team is there are no girls from South Dakota on this South Dakota State team. Whereas Casey Bortnam herself is from the North Texas area.
As well as Rhett Robinson. Rhett Robinson played at Crum High School. And it'll be Levy on the offside. South Dakota's Picard just barely getting it over. And Smith taking a whack at it. Scopel on the net, on the run. Levy hitting that back corner. It was wide open. Scopel back to serve for UNT. UNT leading by 5, 15-10. And Andrews out of the middle. It's going to be picked up by Scopel. Ibarra will get the assist for Smith's kill. On the outside, getting trapped in that block between Andrews and Winter. And another timeout being called by South Dakota State, just trying to put a stop to the bleeding here. 16-10, with each team having one set up on the other, so we will go to 4 here. You know, when we were here this morning, Amanda, I saw a lot out of Andrea Owens, and I'm wondering what happened between that game and now, because she has not seen the floor. And last game, there were some veterans that came out, and she stayed in the entire time. She was a freshman, and, you know, the fans loved her. You could tell that her team really supports her and loves her, so I'm wondering why she's not out here tonight.
Could be anything between injury or maybe Palaio's seen what he needs to see from her and
save her for maybe Saturday's matchup against Grambling State. That will be at 1 p.m. if you would like to tune in to CUSA TV to watch UNT versus Grambling State. We'll be right back here tomorrow at 1 p.m. Both teams making their way back to the court. Score 16-10. Sets all tied up between the two teams, with each having one. And Andrews will come out with number 12, Ventling Brown, the middle blocker, in.
So we didn't see nearly this many timeouts in the first 2 sets. Would it be safe to say that we're going to see just as many in the 4th set?
And Kaylee Scopel's set's going to be a double, giving the ball back over to Chloe Stitt to serve. Off the net for Smith, Ibarra helping out Levy. And South Dakota State scrambling. Burke is unable to send it back over. It's UNT's ball, giving it to Smith to serve. Service picked up by Burke. And number 18, Elise Winter, will put it down for South Dakota State.
Here's your ever crucial 17th point.
With Ella Thompson back into play front row for South Dakota State. And Picard back to serve. Her serve flies out, giving UNT their 18th point. It is 18-12 here. Excuse me, 17-12. Service picked up by Burke to Thompson. Is picked up by Ibarra. And Ibarra had a beautiful pass. She's begging her teammates, get there, get there, get there. And Kaylee Scopel, unable to run it down, is going to give it back to South Dakota State with number 2, Faith Sauer, to serve. Picked up by Ibarra. Scopel out to Robinson on the outside, off of the hands and the block of Carly Weedle. It's going to fall, giving Robinson the kill. Bortnam in for Levy to serve. Picked up by Burke. Out to Burke on the outside. Through the hands of Bortnam. She's going to earn her own serve. Excuse me. That's going to be Akila Jefferson in to serve for Crystal Burke. Service picked up, and Hausler uses the block. It's still up. Chloe Stitt sends it back over. Scopel with the dump. A pancake by Picard keeps it alive. Picard with the set for Stitt. Scopel out to Robinson in the outside. Finds that line. As you can see, Picard was pulled way too much to the middle. Way too much for the middle. She left that line exposed. You can't get beat to that line. You want to get beat forward. Robinson back to serve. Off of the platform of Picard, it's not going to make its way over, giving UNT back the ball. Scored 21-14, UNT up by 7 here. The Tides have turned, and they are pushing forward, hoping to get this third set and get it done in 4. Picked up by Picard, out to Burke on the back row. Scopel and Hausler misses it just barely. That set was a little bit too high for her.
That's got to be tough right there. We talked so much about how those two are unstoppable and how everything they've done has been almost picture perfect up to this point.
Yeah, it definitely shows that you could still have miscommunications even with those power couple of players on the court at the same time. We have number 11, Anna Narad, in. Picked up by Bortnam. Scopel out to Smith in the outside. Finds its way in the rafters. It's going to be Burke in the back row to send it. Bortnam to Scopel. Robinson out of the back row. Through the hands of Faith Saywert. It's going to be UNT's ball and Robinson's kill. Hausler back to serve. And ball falls right in front of Faith Saywert. Hausler with another ace. Service picked up by Burke. Out to Stitt. Hausler with the pass. Scopel to Robinson in the back row is picked up by Saywert. Burke to tip. And a tip flies out, giving the point to UNT. It is game point here, set 3 in Mean Green Village, and all Mean Green fans are on their feet with their eagle talons in the air for game point. Hausler's service picked up, out to Stitt in the outside, and she puts it down, cross shot, still UNT's game point. 24-16 here as number 18, Elise Winder, makes her way back to the front row.
And this has now been relatively common. We've seen both of these teams get to that 24th point and then have the other team come back and get a little too close for comfort.
It's going to be Burke out of the back row, picked up by Bortnam. Smith, and the block of number 12. Ventling Brown is going to put it down. She's definitely proud of that one. Number 13, Carly Wadle, back to serve for South Dakota State. Score now 24-17. UNT still game point. And it gets the best of Casey Bortnam. South Dakota State's point, I imagine Andrew Palaio's just kind of saying, hey, settle down. Look at the score. We have some room to breathe, but not too much.
Right. You don't want to get too comfortable and allow mistakes to happen.
Robinson to send it back over. Out to Chloe Stitt for South Dakota. Once again, Ibarra getting beat to her left.
Is this
moving
how
a little bit too much into that zone that the block crosses off? You know, you got to trust that your block's going to be there and defend around it.
Is this how these sets looked earlier against McNeese for the Mean Green?
Maybe a little bit more tooth and nail, and UNT's going to take it with a kill by Alicia Johnson. UNT up in sets 2-1. Final score 25-19. UNT will look to take this fourth set to take it home and their first win of the season. We'll have that fourth set coming right up. Stick around. And welcome back. If you're just now joining us, I'm Mercedes Zaragoza here to bring you this matchup between the University of North Texas and South Dakota State University. I'm joined here with my colleague Amanda Batchelder to talk some volleyball here. How are you enjoying these first three sets?
Great. I'm still pleasantly surprised at these matchups. They've not been blowouts. They've not been, bad losses. They've been very competitive on both sides.
No, there's been some very great volleyball going on. There hasn't been a lot of, meaningless mistakes. For the most part, both of these teams are earning their points here. Not a lot of miscommunication going on. It's very high-level play right now, and I have missed it so much, especially, you got that Tokyo 2020 bug after that huge win for USA Women's Volleyball. So, I was excited to come back in here and see some volleyball, and truly Levy just got that middle kill as Ibarra heads back to line to serve. Service picked up by Stitt to Burke in the back row. Burke's poke is not enough, doesn't make it over the net. It's going to be UNT's ball, now leading 2-0 early on in this fourth set. If UNT wins this set, they take the game and get to go home a 1-1 record to start their season. Outside Stitt finds its way to Ibarra. Back row Smith is picked up. Burke with a high set. Just gets it over out to Robinson on the offside, using the block of number 14, Chloe Stitt. It goes down for Rhett Robinson. Anna Ibarra back to serve for UNT once again. Service picked up by Burke to number 12. Picked up by Ibarra, out to Robinson on the offside. Hausler, back to Robinson. Off the hands of number 12, Ventling Brown. It's going to be Rhett Robinson's kill, but some amazing digs by Anna Ibarra right there.
She might be the grandma of the team, but she's not showing it.
No, ma'am. Out to Chloe Stitt on the outside, and Hausler's block is good. Finds its way to the whole other side of the court.
This Mean Green squad is such an energetic team, and you can see it. They've been showing it this whole time, but knowing that this is essentially the make or break match, the make or break set, you can see it in their attitude and the way that they're celebrating when they're getting points, seeing that they're on a 5-0 run right now.
For sure. You have some electric players over there that like to have fun. They like to not take the game so serious. They like to be silly on the bench, and I think there's a lot to be said to that. If I saw my whole team standing there like statues, I'm not going to want to play better. So, boost some morale, and we already talked about these group of girls. They're super close-knit. Senior Barba Tickle, now turned Martin, got married during the season, and her teammates were her bridesmaids. So there's something to be said about that, And early on, now UNT leading 5-0, and you can tell that their energy is really what's pulling them ahead of this South Dakota team.
And we mentioned earlier that, alumni Miranda Yeomans and Valerie Valerian even made an appearance here, just coming to support where they graduated from. And even in the stands, they had big signs and they were cheering on their old teammates, and it's infectious, quite honestly.
And Ibarra will serve coming out of this timeout for UNT. Service picked up by Stitt, out to Stitt in the outside, off the platform of Smith. Giving the ball to South Dakota State and earning them their first point. As libero Tatum Picard goes back to serve. Service picked up by Smith, but off the net for Scopel. Robinson in the back row, and a single block out of Elise Winter will put it down. Put it down out of the court, giving the ball to Casey Bortnam to serve. Ball is picked up by Stitt. Back to Winter, picked up by Bortnum. They're going to call a double on South Dakota State setter number 13, Carly Whittle, giving the ball back to Bortnum.
Looks like South Dakota State's falling apart at the seams.
Burke's pass is good, and number 4, Ella Thompson's hit flies out. They're calling for a touch. Ref doesn't see it. However, Dan Gorgalis is going to challenge, giving UNT and South Dakota State some time to talk as this down ref looks at the replay. I did not see a touch on that ball. As far as I could tell, it flew out clean, but, you know, you never know. I think she made contact too low for it to be, you know, for there to be a touch on it, is what I mean.
So as I was saying earlier with my rather dumb question about reviews, in tennis, and definitely at like the super high levels like Wimbledon and things like that, they have that super high tech, it'll show you where the ball bounced out. In baseball, they have, it's one of those, if this person called it and there's not enough to overturn it, they can't overturn it. And we're going to start seeing that this year in collegiate softball as well. But all sports have different replay calls, review calls.
And they're going to give a point to South Dakota State, saying that UNT's block did touch it. So South Dakota State will take the ball, and number 2, Faith Saywert, will go back to serve number 18, Elise Winter, coming out. Score now revised, and 7-2, UNT still leading by 5. Picked up by Ibarra, Scopel to Robinson in the outside, flies off the platform of Picard. And Rhett Robinson gets hers and heads back to the line to serve. You know, they switched her from the offside to the outside to her strong side, and I think that's a wise thing. But whenever you have a hitter like Rhett Robinson that can hit from anywhere, you know, you kind of want to utilize her in those offsides that you might not be as strong. Number 14, Chloe Stitt, sending it back over. Off the shoulder of Hausler, it's going to stay alive just barely by Ibarra. Back to Ella Thompson. Rhett Robinson showing that she was there, but it flies off of her platform. A beautiful hit set by number 13, Weedle, for Ella Thompson to go up there and hit. It's going to be 14, Chloe Stitt, back to line to serve. Service picked up by Bortnum, tight on the net for Scopel. Smith right into number 13, setter Carly Weedle's block. Weedle herself being 6'1". A very useful thing as a setter. That means she can block, put up a decent block, and also turn around and set, but it's a very tiring deed. Down ball is picked up by Bortnum. Scopel to Hausler on the hitch. Ball rolls across the whole net, makes its way out, giving UNT the ball. Sarah Hausler going back to serve.
I'll add that on the list of things I've never seen in volleyball before. Rolling along the net like that.
Service picked up by Picard. Burke is off the net. Giving it to Bortnum. Scopel to Johnson off the platform. Off the hand of Picard. It's not going to make it over, giving UNT the ball, and Sarah Hausler back her serve. Once again, that ball flying into the rafters. They got to find a way to control it. Great pass by Burke. Thompson out of the middle. Hausler just barely getting a hand on it. It flies out, giving South Dakota the point. Number 4, Ella Thompson going back to serve.
Another thing I'm finding interesting is Ella Thompson is a freshman. Her sister Tori Thompson is also on the South Dakota State team as a junior, and we haven't seen very much of Tori Thompson today at all.
Ella Thompson getting that first ace here off the platform, and now missing her second set, kind of canceling out points there. Levy back in for Bortnum as Kaylee Scopel goes back to the line to serve for her home position. Picked up by Burke, tighten the net. Ventling Brown unable to get it over the hands of Alicia Johnson. She gets to add that as a block to her stat sheet as Kaylee Scopel goes back to serve. Serve is picked up by Burke. To back row, Chloe Stitt. Scopel getting the dig. Ibarra with the assist. And Johnson will put it down to battle at the net. Score now 12-6. UNT having double the points of South Dakota here in this set 4. UNT kind of wants to go home, I bet. Set 4, they're like, hey, I played 2 games today. I just want to get it done. And I'm sure that's what Palaleo and his brand new coaching staff is going to want.
So you're going to know this better than I would. Having a new assistant coaching staff while still having the same head coach, what's that got to be like for a volleyball team?
I think that it's like you still got the brain. You still got the head of the operation. But if, you know, both of Palaleo's new coaching staff, both assistant coaches are young. They're able to, and believe it or not, what a head coach looks at is if you can train with them, if you can do the down balls, if you can do the free balls, if you can serve positions to, you know, make them better. And I was watching both of these assistant coaches in warm-ups, and all of their hits went exactly where they wanted it to. You know, if they're trying to pull the girls left to make them move, they did that, and it was perfect every time. So I think it's almost like the brain and the head of the operation is the same. You got some new limbs, you got some new things that you get to work with, and, you know, having younger ideas, younger bodies coming in. Scopel's serve is good, and Burke gets a hand on it. It's going to fall on UNT side. Number 18 for South Dakota State going back in, Elise Winter on the front row, with setter Carly Widow back to serve. And serve is no good, giving UNT back the ball. Kenzie Smith going back to the line, trying to make a difference, trying to get her team on a run here. It's going to fly out. We're going point for point here on serves. Before now, it's been pretty clean with serves. But it could be that both teams are trying to get more aggressive, trying, you know, in that huddle, coaches were like, hey, serve spots, you know, get out of your comfort zone. This is a preseason game. This is a pre-conference game, you know, so try some new things. And when you try new things, you're going to mess up sometimes.
Right.
Scopel out to Robinson on her offside, off the block. Robinson with another kill after reaching her 1,000th kill today in her game against McNeese.
They're all blue and yellow. It's all the same.
Ibarra back to serve for UNT. Picked up by Burke. Back to Winter. Winter's going to put it down right behind Kenzie Smith and Kaylee Scopel. Score now 15-8. UNT still leading and leading in sets 2-1. This is set 4. UNT could close it out here.
So you were here this morning for that McNeese State UNT game. What was the atmosphere like when Robinson got that 1,000th kill?
It was really special because, you know, her teammates rally around her, and her teammates were really excited for her. And, you know, there weren't as many fans. Everybody's in school and work and stuff. It was during the day. But, you know, someone as celebrated as Rhett Robinson on her team by her fans, by her coaches, it was a special moment for her for sure. And Ella Thompson will get a hand on it. Robinson on the outside is picked up by Picard. And Ibarra with a great dig. Hausler will battle at the net and put it down for UNT. Score now 17-9. UNT way ahead at this pivotal 17-point with Bortnum headed back to the line to serve.
South Dakota State can't have that happen again. It looked like that just dropped right in front of all of them, frankly.
Scopel out to Robinson on the outside, gets caught in the hands of Ella Thompson. But Winter battles back and ball falls in front of Bortnum. Score now 17-10 with number 2 Saywert back in to serve and Winter out. Picked up by Bortnum. Out to Hausler running the hitch. I just saw a fan scream before the ball even hit the ground, and you could tell that it was going to be a good one before it even hit.
I was going to say that. My eyes got big. That was real clean from Sarah Hausler.
Robinson back to serve, and serve is no good. Handing the ball back to South Dakota State. It's going to be number 10, Akila Jefferson, back to serve for South Dakota State.
Must-win set
Picked
for
up
South
by
Dakota.
Bortnum. Robinson off the block. Smith sending it back over. Out to Burke on the outside, picked up by Robinson. Scopel's tight on the net, she jumps. Hausler battles and wins against Ella Thompson to put it down. And heading back to the line to serve, Alicia Johnson making her way back to the front row. Score now 19-11. They're going to call South Dakota State out of rotation. Looks like when ball was served, there was a little bit of some position problems with pulling back number 10 Jefferson. Ball is picked up by Burke. Out to Ella Thompson in the middle. Robinson in the back row. Out to Burke on the outside, in the net, no good. It's going to be UNT's ball, UNT's point. Now 21-11.
Now the question is, can the Mean Green solidify here, or are we going to see that same thing where South Dakota State could go on a run and make this a much closer game than it frankly needs to be?
Number 14, Chloe Stitt, making her way back into the game for Jefferson. Ball is picked up, and Burke swings away, and it flies out, but ref calls a touch on the block. South Dakota State's ball. And Anna Narad goes in to serve for Ella Thompson. And serve is in the net. Ella Thompson back in for Narad, and Levy in for Bortnum to play front row. Number 8, Scopel, back to serve for UNT in her home position. And ball is in. Scopel adds the ace to her stat sheet. Score now 22-12. UNT up by a whole 10 points. Can they finish it here to win in 4 sets? Service picked up by Burke. And number 12, Vetling Brown, will be the one to get it out of the middle to get the point for her team. Number 13, Carly Weddle, back to serve for South Dakota State. Score now 23-13. Service picked up by Robinson. Scopel out to Smith on the offside. It glides across the net and falls. UNT's ball. It is 24-13. It is game point for UNT. All UNT fans are up. They have their talons in the air. It's a great atmosphere here. Kenzie Smith will serve for game point. And tip falls in the middle of the court. South Dakota State getting another crack at it here, and Crystal Burke heads back to line to serve. Service picked up by Smith. Scopel off the net. Robinson and Alicia Johnson will go up in battle. Out to Burke in the back row. Robinson tight to the net. It's up for Johnson. And they're going to call 4 hits on UNT. Still game point here in Mean Green Village. UNT hoping to close it out right here. Head home, get ready for that game against Grambling State tomorrow at 1 p.m. in Mean Green Village. Brett Robinson off the net, still gets it over. And it's going to be outside Chloe Stitt to get the best of Levy's defense. Give her team a chance to battle back once more. 24-16, UNT leads at game point. Picked up by Ibarra. Scopel. Alicia Johnson on the net is picked up by Picard. Back to Burke on the back row. Falls in front of Scopel.
This is a good time for South Dakota State to be going on such a scoring run, but it's got to be tough for the Mean Green. You have the opportunity to finish this game with your largest margin of victory in all of these sets against South Dakota State, but here we are 2 points away from where the last set ended.
Looks like Andrew Palaleo has called a challenge. However, I am not sure what on. Could be a net violation that he saw. Like I said, UNT plays here back at Mean Green Village. And they're going to call South Dakota State in the net as both teams wave away due to COVID. They do not shake hands anymore, so UNT closes out tonight as winners and their records starting off as 1-1. As the UNT band plays the alma mater, I'm going to say good night, and we will see you tomorrow here back at Mean Green Village to play against Grambling State at 1 p.m. Thank you for coming with us, Amanda Batchelder. It's been a great time, and good night.